All right. So anyway, we saw the S&P down 0.31%, NASDAQ 1.90%, so more weakness in the tech sector. Russell 2000 1.65%, and the Dow basically edged green 0.62% to the upside. Yeah, sideways more or less. Last week, inflation data was the key focus. U.S. Price data showed slowdown in a disinflationary process. Meanwhile, fears are rising that a world's second largest economy could be heading for a deflationary spiral. We've heard this all before. Of course, we had a bunch of earnings. We had Roblox, Disney, Krispy Kreme, Yeti making headlines last week. I'm brushing through this, y'all. Now, going into this week, economic calendar, and again, this is for YouTube purposes as well. So this week, 14th through 18th. All right, so here's what we got going on. Monday, nothing, which is kind of nice. It's always good to have a little bit of which. Let's narrate this, okay? Because they use this to narrate the market, right? No data. We're opening up in range above that floor. Okay. But Tuesday we got core retail sales, Empire State Manufacturing Index, retail sales, etc., and then pretty much a reprieve. Building permits, industrial production, FOMC meeting minutes, and unemployment claims are on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday finishing with nothing. On my watch list this week, as you guys can see, if you guys are tapping the screen here on TikTok, hope you guys are on the Discord. We are on the floor with Tesla. I'll go over SPY here in just a little bit. But we are sitting on this floor. Listen, I already posted, by the way, I did open up TradingView. If you want to look at I think this is a little bit easier. You know, you get to zoom in, you get to kind of see what I've placed my targets on. So I posted a chart, and then this is on TradingView, and I also posted a video with a little bit more of a simplistic idea. So if you want to take a look at that, I will post that on YouTube as well. Now, I'm going to use up the rest of my Trend Spider because it's the economy. Anyway, so take a look to your left. Go real far back, and we're gonna delete this jive right here. So and we're gonna take this line and we're gonna drop it right on that candle open. You see that, folks? That's 241. And then we're gonna go over here. And what did these candles settle on? Blop, blop, bam, right? So we did not give up that floor. We held on to that floor. That was significant. I'm already shorting Tesla. After all of that, I feel you though. So anyway, we're sitting at the floor. I don't short support, right? So that's one of the main things you guys hear from me. I don't short support, and if I do, right, typically it's going to come off of a rejection. We already did that, right? We took that gap up, short, 264, leg down, trim. Of course, we opened up again. We had a couple day trades in there, but mostly in range trading from Tesla. And then, of course, that dump on Friday, pulling back up and hanging on to that 241.51. So it's pretty simple. Gap down, right? If you gap down into this range and you wick down, listen, play the downside if you want. Take the wicks. Make sure you set good stop losses. But to your left, right, if we do gap down, there is pretty much empty space. We have already tapped off of the 237.58 wick. So there's only 230 and 229.50 hovering below us. That's basically going to be our stopping point. Now, as far as trend is concerned, right, I have taken this. If you notice, this is a much larger deviation. I have trimmed it down. We have what we could call consolidation channels, right? So they're thinner areas where the stock typically chops. So right here, we're sitting on that floor. And the stock is showing you that it's obviously at a floor with the 3 or 4 candles kind of showing you some weakness now as we've moved down to the downside. So anyway, buyers control this price, sellers control this price, and of course that means naturally that we have a cost basis. Cost basis is also the previous resistance of 246.77, candle stop, candle close, candle open, new high. Right here, same thing, candle open, tap, bounce, new high. So I'm looking for Tesla to either A, and it's probably going to look something like this, do a little bit of this shit, and then use this area to consolidate, right? And that's typically what we're going to see from downside move, upside move. regardless, I will be watching for this 260, 247, 246.50 area to break or open up above. And then we have made a low, so that would be significant to me. And then I would be looking for this floor, and this is ultimately going to be one of the most important floors. This is the 250-150. So that's 250-150 on Tesla. We need to reclaim that floor, period, end of story. If this can be done, you guys know the deal. We have cost basis. Now, this cost basis is big because it basically will move us up, and I want you guys to pay attention to this wall because this is a daily wall that has kept Tesla down. And obviously 1, 2, 3, right? Open 257.61, move it over. We're right on that mark. So we're going to be watching for that daily cost basis to basically show us whether or not we are going to, there's a lower channel here, right? We could stay there. That would ultimately be bearish. If we break it, then we move into the top of this channel where we can just move into, there's a lot of levels here above us as well, but mostly I'm watching for this cost basis mark around 277. And let me also put this blanket statement out there. We can't see it yet, but I would like for you to just keep in mind that one of the toughest things to do is see that range is likely going to be created. And so as of right now, right, we could be building the box. With cost basis being here, right? And now basically any candle opening underneath that being that sell wall. So we could be looking at that. Obviously, when this is created, we have to take it step by step. It might even be that 270, 250, but there's a lot of room to the upside here in the 240s. But we shall see, of course, how we open up, and that will gauge what we end up doing because we only trade via price. So it's up, then down, big down. Very, very good. Wow. Damn, I should quit. All right, so let me make sure I haven't missed anything there. All right, perfect. All right, so anyway, we got Tesla on the watch list. I do want to cover SPY for you all, as this one has done its damnedest to hang on to its floor, and I moved everything around. So right now we're hanging on to what I can only assume is our deviation channel, right? Kind of squeezed in there, but more importantly, right, because we don't trade just off of channels because they can change, right? We're looking at the floor underneath us, and then we're also looking at the floor above us, right? So where do we need to go? You do notice that although all of these are red, buyers still make an effort to hold the 246.75. That is where sellers who have been putting an extreme amount of effort into, yes, we got the punch back, right? New high, punch back. Then they have put an effort into making sure that you do not reclaim that floor above you. So creating a sell wall around the 250.60. So what does that do? That creates range, that creates cost basis. Candle close, candle open, right? Resistance, candle open, resistance, right? So we're looking at this small block, and that's going to be step one, because guess what? If we have a ton of sellers sitting inside of this block and you gap up into that floor where buyers control the price, naturally we're going to see some displacement of sellers. They're going to buy back. That's how they get out. And hopefully that will put, not hopefully, I gotta stop using that fucking word, but that will, right, push us back up, where sellers are more than likely going to try and push us back down around 248.67, and this too can create range. So there's more than you think to the downside that has to be done, and then even that, so I want to be a little bit more specific here. There is also this is where we it's down on a lower time frame, but this is 242.30. So there is also the possibility that rather than just moving and flushing down, because I don't see that happening yet, guys, we have too much volume underneath us. So more than likely SPY is going to be, oh man, and this is the part that gets me the most, right, is go look back at Tesla, and this is not the only one. And this is also kind of like one last blanket statement here. So take off after hours. There is a large, we're sitting in between two large earning gaps, okay? We filled 50% of that gap at 238.66, and that's usually all you get, right? That's been a rule. You guys have heard me talk about that for years. 50% of any gap on a daily, more than likely you're going to bounce. If you close the candle underneath that floor, then by all means. But here's what's happening, right? You got a gap. Sellers, people, me, we love gaps, right? That's an area of low volume, typically easy to fill. So now we're going to have sellers thirsting after filling that gap directly below us, where there's also another gap at 221, 220, right? So that's their job. Sellers' job is to push it, relay race, hand it to the next sellers so they continue push it down. As of right now, there's a gap to the upside. So what do you think one small move or one bounce up here is going to do? We're going to get hungry fucking buyers. Buyers are going to come in, and we're going to start hearing the talk. So this is where the idea of potentially staying in range, which wedges, yes, there's 1,000 people drawing fucking wedges. I'll draw it for you guys just one little line here. Oh God. So anyway, a little pattern there for you, just a little bump. So wedge right here, right? So everybody's thinking of a wedge. Wedges don't tell you much, right? Wedges are typically channels in disguise. I heard the Transformers theme song too. I'm sure everybody else did. But this is a channel, right? Look at the deviation. So just popping up, we could still be in a trend or downtrend while still maintaining that, basically buyers are going to be able to get this gap up above you. And I think that keeps you in range and displaces both sides, right? Before any big move, it's a lot of shit that happens in between. So again, we're just going to trade the price. There's all these ideas, but we move down to the lower time frame, down to the 4 hour on Tesla. I know I got a lot of analysis on here on this one, y'all, but you can see again, another area of consolidation right here. You are maintaining and basically sitting on that floor, and then above you, or I almost sounded like Scooby, above you, right here, 248.77, right? This is going to be another cost basis. So reclaiming, it's going to be a step-by-step process. We've located it on the daily, and again, there's another cost basis, 253.80. So we're going to have beautiful areas to set stop losses, beautiful areas to add, and then if we get both of these breaks, that will propel us into a cost basis around that 257 area, which is that daily floor, and then that is where ultimately we will decide, I think, whether we're going to continue moving up, because you are up against a daily sell wall, and that's more than likely either going to serve as a cost basis mark where you consolidate around it. And that's it. That's it, guys. So all right, what is a Potter box? Really quickly, I'm going to use this just really quick. All right, this is just how I trade. It shouldn't take long. If you want a further explanation, YouTube. This is how I trade. Starting from the weekly, daily, I try to find areas of consolidation where buyers and sellers control the price. Candle closes are where I focus on. So we're looking at this, right, and this. And in between any area of consolidation is going to be cost basis. This is where buyers and sellers decide whether they like the price. So if you come down off of resistance and bounce and clear that cost basis, you will go to resistance, regardless of how the candle closes. Same thing, right? You come back down, you open underneath, you're at the floor. Bounce, break, resistance, right? So open on top of cost basis, and after so long, right, 1 2 3 is usually the magic number. We're looking for a break. But what we usually do, or what not usually do, but try to always do, right, is look for an area of consolidation that has and we're not going to do that. We're going to look for an area of consolidation that has lost its floor. And again, if we located it on the daily or the month or the weekly, then it's something that we should be able to move down step by step and figure out how we can best enter that trade. So here's that same box, and then above us, right, we have another box. It's right here, and this is your cost basis mark, right? Again, open up above it, resistance, and then if you make a new high, right, if you break 1 2 3 1 2 3 and you come back down and you re-enter where sellers control the price, because that's just what they do. They're just hitting the button, price comes down, they slap it. You come back down and you break cost basis. This has to happen. You will see a new low. That new low is in looking at the box, right? So a low in in comparison to the 166.88, right? So you're going to go lower than that. Now, where you go, that's your job. If you bounce and reclaim the box up above you, okay, and there's a story behind this, and this is why I use this strategy. You have sellers, and again, Tesla was at a big low. People were trying to come back in and short it. Sellers have a job. Again, they control right here. They control right here. So what do you think this chop right here does? Displaces a lot of sellers. Eventually, if buyers right here refuse to give up that price, you're going to see people exit. That starts a snowball effect. If you reclaim that floor where buyers control the price, they hit the button, and that pushes you back up above cost basis. And if this occurs, you will then again make a new high. And that, of course, happened. And we ended up taking positions after a play here and adding longs there. And then we traded this one all the way up as we had the same analysis that I just showed you on the 4 hour. It was actually translated all the way from, again, the weekly. All of our plays are going to start on the weekly. Jesus Christ, here we go. And again, so any area of consolidation, which is this area of consolidation, and its cost basis, and that's not the floor, this is the floor, that's the ceiling. So reclaim that floor, break cost basis, that gives you a new high on the daily, which is a much bigger move. Then again, then we have another area right here that has a cost basis mark. This much larger area, this has a cost basis mark. And again, this is where buyers and sellers decide whether they like the price, which basically means that you're inserting or withdrawing liquidity, right? This is where the big boys put in and they set off, okay? They will hold a certain wall by just simply selling shares every time it gets there. And then when a certain mark, cost basis is broken, you'll see a large volume. You can look at this. This is not, again, opinionated. This is observation from seeing the most amount of volume being 50%, right? You go look at your volume profile. Usually any area of consolidation, that's where the volume is put in and taken out. So if you're moving up, you're going to be putting in volume, putting in volume, putting in volume. And then why do you think we saw such a beautiful rip to the upside? And of course, we were targeting the gap. And then again, if you don't believe me, which you have every right to do, we showed you guys on the target, right? We ended up having a really good target on Tesla. And that one was a 3-pointer from far away because, again, buyers, sellers, controlling the price. Right here, 50% right there. And yeah, that's oops. So again, candle closes, you need to make sure that you see candle opens. So right at that 299 mark where you see that hold right there, candle open, resistance, candle below, you can see it holding. Let me go over here, and it's almost like the shit fucking works. So anyway, that is it for Tesla. That is the Potterbox in a nutshell. Again, you can go to YouTube, Potterbox Trading, and you can see my strategy all broken down. I don't spend a whole lot of time on editing, guys. This is not where I put my time and energy. I've just tried to share what I've learned and what I've observed. So like if you're outside of my Discord and stuff like that, this is how you get Potterbox strategy condensed. You can go a little bit further. There's Potterbox and Trend, how we use Trend and Potterboxes to find accurate targets. And then we also have, we have a recap on that very same Tesla play that I just explained to you. And then there's the Potterbox strategy as well. So you can check that out. All right. Anyway, so for Tesla, what am I thinking this week? Just to finish that up, I expect for Tesla to stay in range. Excuse me. Again, what I expect, and I try to make this really, really clear, y'all. I don't really have expectations. Let me make that really clear. I don't really have like a set series of expectations. All I know is that I put places to react on the chart so that I can make money. I don't have like, I know where the points are, where I need to get in and need to get out, where buyers control, where sellers control, and I'm using those points against them. So if we're stuck in between an area where buyers and sellers control and we open up here, folks, we're probably going to be sitting on our hands. And I warn those of you who know where they're at in trading and have made money, and I've seen a lot of you guys start digging into those profits, pull out the paper trading, go deposit $100 or $200 in a side account, something, scratch the itch, but stay out of those trades until you see a weekly and daily setup. We have seen this. We've repeated it over and over again. If the daily and weekly setup, then you have day trades and probably weeks worth of them. So look for that first. All right. Anyway, that's Tesla. If you guys have any request outside of that, go ahead and drop those in the chat right now. Oh man, sorry. I had a lot of ideas, so I gotta get that out. I feel like I got something off my chest. Yeah, that's I had that same channel on Tesla. And again, we'll see how exactly that plays out, but channels might and can change depending on if you open up a new mouth or if you open up some sort of trend changing price action. We've discussed that in the Potterbox and channels classes. So check out, I see MU. All right, so looks like I got old analysis here. That old analysis tells me that you rejected a cost basis up above you. Again, if I was making this shit up, I wouldn't be able to come back to my charts. Abiding. Wow, look at that. Wow, not a single candle close above that 71.33, which would have had to been broken in order to go make a new high like the previous run back up. So you've re-entered the box where sellers control the price, right? You tried to get out off of cost basis. And then you gap down again. Again, gaps are what tell us what we need to do. You gap down back underneath that 68.50. Break your cost basis, and now you have made a new low. Where are you? You are on top of a major floor. So basically, what does that imply? Right? That we're possibly going to be underneath seller control if we end up opening up underneath this mark. So it's going to take something on the lower time frame, preferably the 4 to 5 hour, to see exactly what's going to have to break in order to move to the downside. I can already tell you right now that this is going to be, hold on one second. Okay, makes sense. So there's going to be a box, and because of how much or how terrible MU moves in after hours, I kind of have to switch between the both of them to kind of get an idea of where things are settling. So all right, so you do have a box right here. You've got a cost basis mark right there, and this is again a just awful area in terms of structure. All right, so buyers are here. That's 63.83. 63.83. I can see the wall right here where sellers control that price. Bam, bam. They don't let it go. Look at that. Bam, bam, bam. When they do gap it up, finally you see some upside. And then, of course, you are under that box and off of that cost basis. So that tells me that if you do break $64 to the downside and you end up falling here, okay, so this is going to be step one. And let me make sure I got all my shit. Okay, so open back up right there. Cost basis would be 50%. Yeah, okay. All right, so on the lower time frame, and again, remember, step back out, look to the daily. What are you looking at? Oops, daily. So right here, you'll notice there's an area of buyers and sellers. So if you drop down, it's not over yet. You still have 62.12. So that's going to be my best guess if you end up gapping back down. And then, of course, since you have made a new low, I would make an I would assume that if you are able to either and the way the MU moves is probably going to be something like this, where you just fucking have a seizure on the floor, but reclaiming 65.75, and I believe you will go back up to test 67. I don't need to sell this to you guys. You guys know the deal. Cost basis 67.46. So we'll come back to that. And I tell you what, I already see this shit, and I look for this kind of shit, and man, that's some fucking dollar bill. And look at this. wick. Nice curve. Shit. So I'm going to get rid of this other channel, and it will be relevant later on. So really, right, and I would assume that you might end up going back up, and this has to happen now, but you still have 1, 2. We like 3. 1, 2, 1, 2. So you either are going to bounce or you're going to break. And by breaking, that will propel you down into a daily. Look at this. Watch the confluence, guys. Ready? So just taking this timing. Obviously, we're not going to drop down. Straight daily cost basis 50. Let me be a little bit more precise on that one. We're going to say 57.45. Beautiful, right? And so there's a possibility that you could wick back up and then drop right back down. So cost basis is king. All right, ABB. Wait, hold on. We got a Discord to tend to here. Can I take a look at SPY? Did that? Did you catch that analysis on SPY? Gator Trader. All right. It reminds me of a Raider Trader. You're not Raider Trader, are you? I will lose it, dude. Not shit. I will. Not shit. All right. So this one's been interesting. It's lagging. It's holding up against the market. Good stuff. We like this. I'm in this still. I'm assuming most of you guys are as well. Here's the floor, 65. 65.62, and that's where we came off of, but ultimately it was 65. I'm sorry, 35.83. Okay, 35.83 is where we've had to close. You'll notice that the 50% area, again. Let me drop that there. Candle closes. Bring that back up on the wicks. And there we go. All right, so you'll notice that we have yet to close a candle. And look, right there, buyers hold it up, push it back off, right? Candle close, right? Wick stays underneath that box, open outside of it, move up. Or open, yeah, open, and well, I guess that would be kind of at the top. So right now, for Pfizer, it's basically a break cost basis. And then ultimately, this is where a lot of people get confused. Don't get confused, all right? It's just we're using any area of consolidation on any time frame because it all works the same. So we're going to extend this box because that is a lower time frame area of consolidation that would ultimately need to be broken. So look, pay attention with me, guys. Look, right there. Now split that in half and look where those candles are closing. So that's just quite simply another area that we can look for a reclaim of that channel. So then we're going to move it over. We're looking for Pfizer to open up above 36.43, where then you'll have and we like this, right? We'll have another area. This is on a lower time frame with its own cost basis right here at 37.32. Break new high 37.32. And again, we are looking for Pfizer to reclaim this floor. Those of you guys in Pfizer with me, again, my expectations, and I'll keep shooting my shot on this one until it tells me I shouldn't. But when we look at the weekly, the potential here is grand. And not a lot of people are talking about Pfizer at the moment. But this one has done a decent job in trying to reclaim its channel. On the weekly, and then on the daily, basically just kind of skirt alongside that. So we're liking Pfizer potentially. Moving on, we've got Coinbase here. This is the best time to be looking at the weekly and daily time frames. All right, so looks like the 7350s are a no-no. And then you created a wide range using basically this floor. You created a 50% mark. So you have cost basis right here, close below it. This one obviously didn't have a floor yet. This one does. You've got a wall right here. And again, I'm not concerned with shit like this. This obviously went and made a new high. So candle open, and I'm actually gonna bring this down just a little bit further. where these wicks come off of, body candles, body, body. More wicks right here, but again, open, right? And that's what I'm looking for, is an open outside of that range, and then we get that move to the upside. Now, I will say, typically, this is not a good look for any sort of weekly time frame to be moving this way. At least, you know, for the long term. We'll see what trend looks like. Okay, so we'll stick with that. I typically like to do it on the daily. The weekly's not going to give you as clear of a picture. Yeah, so you have a way better idea. And here, this is how we like to do this. If your channel is too wide, right, doesn't encapsulate price action, you give it that second deviation right there. And again, you'll notice that you'll see a lot of price respect or points of contact off of that. And you can do this a lot because lower time frame control exists from the 1 to the daily. So anyway, you're in the lower box. You are underneath what looks to be seller control. But ultimately, right, you have a area of consolidation right here. This is a small box. That's 78 bucks. This is an area to go down and bounce, because when we look left, right, and again, we don't really need to worry about the channels, but if you look left, you'll notice that the candles are closing right here, right, and wick, and then cost basis, right, and then open and push below, and then wick, and then again, candle close. So we're going to be looking for Coinbase to stay the fuck out of that shit, and then hopefully bounce. Right, you've got a long channel. This channel has shown zero effort in terms of bouncing back up, and these channels can always extend themselves. But I would watch for a 78.19 bounce, so possibly just another small leg down, and then a reclaim of the very same floor that you've just lost, and I'm being a tight ass on the price mark. It's 85.12. 85.12. That's Coinbase. Oh shit! I'm not. Do I know Warrior Trader? I don't know him, but yeah, I know that guy. Know of him, and I can't state this opinion clearer. When you have profits from a group or from the advertisement of being rich, it opens the possibility, and basically the recycling marketing factor, where you have endless amounts of liquidity to put in and out of trades, and that's why these people choose scalping. I'm not saying that scalping is bad. I'm just saying that scalping allows you to basically, yes, you could be wrong and lose big, but when you win big and you put a lot of money in, it's worth showing those gains. So I'm not really a big supporter of anybody out there who's promoting scalping to people who can't scalp. Right, because you're probably not going to make it to millionaire status on a funded account. I mean, you can probably get some sweet change on that, but I'm not abiding by those rules that are almost forcing you to scalp. So I prefer to go with what the market does best, and that's move over time and trend. So I'm a trend trader, but yeah, if you guys have requests on TikTok, you can drop those, but I am taking requests back and forth from my Discord. They are priority. So we called this one. I unfortunately was late to the party on this one. So but this is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful punchback, and I expect this one to absolutely rip. I'm looking at the weekly. This is very, very not rare, but I typically don't do weekly channels, or if I do, like, you know, I'm not like trying to be super duper intricate with it. But VLO does present a solid price target to the upside, and you guys will notice, and I do like to align the wicks on things like this. So I'm going to do that and bring that right down. What's up, Toothless? And now it's being a bastard. All right, so again, that's going about it backwards. Jesus. All right, so anyway, VLO right there, and I like that floor a lot better. Again, more points of contact, the better. Lots of candle closes on top of that. And then we have a large area of consolidation. You guys know the rules. Cost basis 50%. That is 135.50. That has been broken. So I am gonna say 155 is the target for me on VLO. And I mean, again, with this bottom channel, y'all, you know, if there's discrepancies or if it needs to be changed, I'll do that. But it doesn't really, again, trend channels are not what determine why I do something. It's definitely a big help, but yeah, this one seems like the only thing that I see, which is only adding volume, is the fact that you did create this area of consolidation, and it looks like the floor desperately kind of holds on right there and right here, and that's going to have its own cost basis mark with the candles closing at 137. Where did you no, you already broke that. So yeah, I personally see a continuation run. Maybe you see a little bit of consolidation, but this one looks like a ripper, and it does rip, and when it stops, okay, so be careful if you guys are trading. It will do this, right? So I've gone back and looked a few times. Big rip, right? New high, cost. So if we get a new high, you could come back down. And it's fine because literally you see this area of consolidation. There were people who were in VLO and it did wick all the way down and tapped that block and then gave you a punch back. Of course, that squeezed the fuck out of people, but. $95.5 cut on profit, dude. That's whack, dude. I'm sorry. I'm not. That's wild. All right, let's do lift. If you guys are on TikTok, you guys can always hop in the Discord. You know, that's where these requests are coming in. It's gonna be a little bit easier. Okay, so lift. Now, why do we use boxes over channels? Floor, ceiling. Gotcha. Okay. So you basically, it's kind of hard to even see. There it is. Wow. So you did floor, you end up building a cost basis there. You can see resistance, break of cost basis, new high. So funny enough, you came down, and this is why people who trade trend lines get fucked constantly by these type of moves. But I personally see this same thing that I see with a lot of stocks across the board. This is your buy floor. Do you see where buyers are controlling that floor? And then we're going to go ahead and drop a zone. We're going to find out where sellers control the price. So that's not it, right? We need to look, and it might be thin, really thin, because again, you see it open there, close outside, and a new high. And I don't really see anywhere where sellers control that price. So that's a much lower time frame area of consolidation. So in order to get back to the upside, you don't have to do, and so anytime I see something like that, that might be an area where I have to go back into the lower time frame to figure out exactly what it is that I'm seeing. So let's see what we're seeing. You should never be doing one time frame. Ever. It's top down, period, end of story, with especially with the Potter box. All right, so now I see that, and that is perfect. So take a look at this. You see another area, 50%. In this whole area, right, where we see sellers right there, obviously pushes out. You do make a new low. Cost basis is, I can move that down just ever so slightly. There we go. Cost basis is 1158. So it looks like you did reclaim that floor, and I'm telling you what, yo, what the fuck is that? That is a huge push down. So just by getting up above that cost basis mark, I would assume that we're going to see sellers displaced, and more than likely you're going to move to the upside. I have so I'll focus more or less on where you want to try to go. And it looks like buyers are kind of right around here. It looks like sellers try and definitely push off that mark. And then you've got basically a fit. Yeah, so I lift this one's pretty good. You've got another cost basis right here. So I'd be looking for lift to push this box, which has kind of like that stack in there, through that imbalance, and then to retest the 1209 floor. And then I do see, and typically, you know, I am actively looking for some sort of trend coming off the mouth, right? So I like to go from the lows and this exploratory process there. So not bad. So basically we're sitting up against that deviation line and just a small break up above, and we should be looking for resistance. So looks a bit like we go so we'll see how that goes. Not bad. All right, so what do we got next? Baba. I already have analysis on Baba. So this one actually turned out really, really well. Just in terms of we knew where it had to go, right? And it did not successfully break its cost basis mark. And we'll wick that down right there. So as you can see above you on Baba 101 was cost basis. You then dipped down underneath this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if you, well, I'd be expecting you've already gotten one. So there's another area right here. And again, if you're trying to take it short, this is going to be one of those marks because you have a cost basis here and you have a cost basis there. Again, note the taps, right? So Rogue, there is boxes in boxes, right? So we can't look at the 4 hour and assume that what we're looking for is sellers, buyers in a range, right? In that range, you could go down infinitely almost. And the way that it's going to work out is painted there, right? So I can see boxes here, right? So what this does is if you have a trade on the daily, and it doesn't overcomplicate things. It should get to the point where it alleviates the stress behind seeing something on the daily and trying to figure out how the fuck to get in there. So like if you saw something on the daily for Baba, you know, whatever that may be, you know, for me, I'm not exactly sure other than the fact that you just faked out trend traders or trend line traders, excuse me. Yeah, with a little bit of something like that. Yeah, that's nasty. So right there, take a look at that. Pretty confluence there. So it almost seems like you're about to go head down to 91.50, which is basically that bottom floor. So it might even squeeze you just a little bit lower. But the boxes are essentially what allow you to take positions, you know. So like we could get rid of all this, find sellers that are here, find buyers that are there, see in pre-market that it's already been broken, and that would be what has to be retested, of course. Let's see here again. Let's see, Baba. So you're taking a position, right? And you're going short. You open up, gap down, flush through. That's a box, right? You see something on the daily, and I'm just giving an example. So a candle close, right, or a candle rejection off of one of those marks, and you would be able to take that short like you saw on the daily, right? Or if you're taking it to the upside, you'd be able to use that very same block or something on the lower time frame. So you don't blend the two, right? You try to make sure that the boxes on the daily stay the boxes on the daily, because if they're broken, it's the same thing. But what has to happen is there's something on the lower time frame that's playing out as well. They're fractals, right? What happens above happens below. Yes, they can. Yeah, they can on the daily. They can be on the same time frame too. And they're not to confuse you, but if you see a cost basis and resistance at the same mark, then assume that that's going to be a very strong level. We're looking at Tesla the same way, right? Tesla is approaching that daily level where, yeah, we have, you know, basically stacked boxes. We've got a huge explosive move off of that. Even down here, there's a different quadrant or box. You know, we've got a stacked box in there. You've got a box that's stacked in between. You guys see how they fill volume? There's volume filled, right? There was a big dump. You come back, you fill that volume, and then you come back down, make that low. So anyway, right? And that may be why that we see Tesla go down and you know, fill the volume or fill all of this volume before moving back up. But they all typically blend together in a way that works, and that you're able to say, okay, if this cost basis is that box's resistance and we break cost basis, the rules don't change. Cost basis break, new high. And so you're just breaking that resistance. So that sounds bearish for the short term. Well, I mean, listen, there are, listen, this is it. Buyers control this price. We have seen big pushes off of the 240 mark. Everybody is bearish, so I'm doing the opposite, right? Now, if we gap down, I don't care what anybody else is doing. I guess they're right, and I'm going to take it short, right? And I'm going to use the wick, probably at 237, to add to a position and flush it down to 231, where we'll see a gap fill 229.22. So again, it's not, I don't have bias. I just have reactions. That's it. That's why we make money. So no, it's work talk. This is far more calculated. I can tell you almost to a T where you're going to go by the open. If you don't believe me, you can trade with me. Penn National Gaming, obviously. So this is why we don't fuck around with news. This one looks like it's gonna go lower there. So they just dump the news on you, and then they sink it back down. You can see how you closed out those two candles underneath this block. Therefore, but although price moved through them, you did punch back. You did get a new high, and then that high has been, you just got ripped right back down. I wouldn't be surprised if I look at Penn. Hold on one second. Let's see. Okay, so pretty, let's see, floor is right there. And so you don't even get hard halfway in there. But what you do is the last block that you created before you moved down, which is right there and there. And you reject that cost basis. So you are at the floor, and you know, this is one thing. If you're at the lows, you might make one more low, but this is, as of right now, yeah, really, I don't even see that much of a low. So like 2230 would technically be this trend's low. When you step down into the daily, again, if you open a candle underneath where buyers control the price, which you closed right on the floor, and you have a small floor underneath you where obviously you gap down 22.96, that may be it. But if you open up underneath 23.44, you will move to 22.95, and I would expect at that point, I would expect a bounce, to be honest with you, and a retest back up to 24.80 before actually moving back down. But it wouldn't take but a small low and then you would just be able to bounce right back up. But this is pretty damning whenever you punch back into a block. And then again, we're using this very same strategy. You have this block underneath you, so if you want to get back up, look at like, oh my god, again, if I was making this shit up, it just wouldn't fucking work. So you have sellers right there, and then look right there, 50% of the block underneath you, and that's where you see that big explosive move, and you've moved through it and you've made a low. So at this point, if you want to reclaim anything, you got to get above 24.19. All right. ABB. Oh yeah, I'm gonna post it to YouTube. ABBV weekly time frame. That's ugly. I'll fix that up. That one should be going higher. You should be seeing. Looks like there's a floor right here. It's going to be on a lower time frame. And that has a 160 mark. Yeah, ABBV looks like, I mean, if I'm correct, I mean, trend is strong on this one. Punchback is strong off of the cost basis underneath you. You got a punchback through this box that gave you a new high. That's 155. You closed above it. So perhaps because you did close at the wall, watch for a little bit of consolidation. Of course, that's going to buy time. But ultimately, as of right now, I do expect a high outside of the 153.85s. Personally, I say 156.80 is not. Yeah, no, that is going to be your first resistance. So from here, 156.80 seems like the next mark. So, target. All right, well, they're making a daily or a weekly bear flag, which typically is a sign that it's going to go up. Although you don't have any trend, that's not good. You haven't hit in anything major. And you really don't have anything to react to above, really not even the floor. So you're going to go and have to find buyers. And I've already said this before, but the strongest moves that we've gotten have been off of the 118.72. You get a rejection off of that mark as well, and that's where we see that big leg down. So it could be that we see 119, 122 get hit, but I would like to see the daily before I make any assumptions, because again, this could just be accumulation. Yeah, see, someone's going to fucking assume, and we'll see. There is lower lows. Your trend right there has been broken, but that's again retail shit right there. Let's see here. So buyers control this price. That's 130. Cost basis for is 133.35. Sellers control that 135.40. You made a new high, and this one looks like it's going to punch back as well. If you open here, I'll just say this: if you open, and I'm going to be again super specific on this one, if you open below 129.80, I would expect a move directly down to 128.50 as that new low. You are experiencing the 1-2, right? So they're probably gonna just keep. I would assume at this point there's a possibility to keep this sideways, especially seeing that, because again, if you're creating trend, you're typically going and you're making a high, right? And then you're making a higher low. That's not happening. So I would assume maybe slow, choppy range to the downside. Let's also explore one last thing. I like to do this a lot, just for fun. And again, this is kind of helps me find if there is going to be potential trend, right? Because somebody is controlling it. Somebody has control here. So let's take a look at possibilities. So number one, I might go off the bodies every once in a while, and that could be one, right? So there's a ton of confluence, you guys notice right there. So it's a possibility. I would say watch for you. I mean, okay. So for all intents and purposes, you have made a low, right? To the box. The box floor is 130.17. You made a low. You bounced off of the 129.50, which is that open right there, and you held that floor. So you're holding that floor, and that's really all that matters. So at the moment, I would say, maybe a wick down, but candle closing or opening on 130 or above 130.80, and you're probably still going to hold that floor. So I'd be looking for a bounce back up above 133.41, and hopefully that'll be, I'm going to assume range at this point. And the fact that you have this bullshit, they're going to abide by it. They're gonna paint that picture, so don't be surprised if you stay in range. What do I think about HD puts? I don't think that's a great idea. Not yet. Hold on one second. So yeah, I don't think that's a great idea. I will tell you why, based on, again, price action. So sellers control the price to my left. And where do those candles open or close when they move down? So it's right, strong wick, right here you hold, right there you close, and then you drop down, you make another low by punching back through that bottom box, which is just another floor. And so let's fix that up. So realistically, right, it's actually 313. Nope. Yeah, 313.50. Hold on one second. I want to be absolutely on the money for this one. There we go. So I do see how a candle opening outside of that mark is kind of bearish. So again, drop it right there. You'll notice that's cost. That becomes cost basis. All right, so that's my floor. All right, that's my floor. That's 314.80, and there's a cost basis mark clear as day, and that's right there at 322.22. So as of right now, you've got a punch back, you've pulled back, you've even, I mean, you got close enough to call that almost a cost basis tap. You've come back, you've tapped that 50% ish mark, and then you've reclaimed, right? So take a look left with me, and just in this recent price action, that wall, so candle close, you closed above it. So 4 hour time frame, typically we're probably gonna have to do the hourly time frame, and we'll do this, and we'll box it out. There's sellers, and there's, again, if I was making this shit up, it wouldn't keep happening. 50% right there. So the floor that needs to be recovered is 331.71. Turn after hours back on. Yep. Okay, so yeah, that's I like that a lot. It looks like a break back above, and honestly, this could go south. You're retesting that floor up above. You've already rejected cost basis, so you might end up coming back down, and then identifying how that happens would be right here, and that is 330.50. So a 330.50 break. That'd be step one. That would propel you down into this box. Beautiful. Again, nice close. And that'd be 328.30. So as of right now, if you're going to come back down, it's going to be under 330.50, but 100% 328.33 would be likely what dams you down. And then HD has some, so there's trend here. I'm not sure I can see it though. My daughter's getting sick again. So good. All right. Yeah. So right now you're looking for a break up above. I wouldn't go short until one of those triggers says says so. Rad. Yeah, that was a daily. What does it reject, folks? Cost basis. Again, totally different stock, same shit. Market is mechanical and nothing else. All right, so from what I can tell, you made a low, you punched back up, and it looks like the sellers control that. I mean, there is some wickage right here at 234, 234, but the candles close on under 228, so this seems still bullish. I will say this is typically what turns my eye towards some sort of trend, right? So typically I'm looking for something like that. It looks like trend was reclaimed, or no, not reclaimed. Hold on one second. So again, I'm just exploring right now. I want to make sure that my chart looks good. No, I'm not much of a big fan for that one. I do like trying to make sure that I abide by the trend, which doesn't look terrible right there. It doesn't really have a ton of confluence. So I see where that kind of skids along. We'll see if that ends up playing in true. I mean, it's not really worth a ton of speculation. All you have to do is kind of close it. If you want to find out whether you're right or not, typically you should be able to bring it down to the candle closes and things should line up there. So from what I can tell, oops, shit. Rite Aid needs to just quite simply recover 252, and then you've got, so you're actually going to have a multitude. You're going to have a 75% mark, and that's going to be step one. That's where that candle actually opens, and that's 265. So reclaim the floor, 265 cost basis, and then I would assume you're going to wick up into those resistance marks. But again, right, just play the boxes. The channels are cool until they're not. So weekly time frame on RAD. What does that tell us? That tells us that the floor is right there, and there's some sort of consolidation at 222. So you're literally sitting on cost basis. So anything back up above 246 or weekly close above that, and you're still technically bullish. You have gone and retested the floor below you or above you, and that's that mark. So you didn't really get close. You know, you tapped that last itty bitty wick. So the actual floor that would need to be reclaimed is 330. So, oh goddamn! I just knocked out. Everybody okay? I'm moving, guys. Again, we'll be live tomorrow morning in the Discord. You guys can catch us there, live trade with us, building independent traders. So that sounds like you. All right, Big C. If you guys are on TikTok, make sure to tap your screen. I appreciate it very much. All right, Big C, sellers, clearly very much around that mark. Let's see, tap, tap. So that's one. Now you did, from what I can tell, reclaimed that floor. No, so it's just by itself. You reclaimed that floor, and you did punch back. All right, and that gave you the first pop, and that was to basically this little kicker box or whatever the fuck, you know, we don't have a name for it, but there's gonna be a box right here that's gonna kick you up into that channel above. Big C also, if I'm not mistaken, on the weekly has this ugly ass trash garbage trend. As you can see, wick wick, and that seems like we're almost at that wall. So it wouldn't surprise me if Big C ended up dying. Let's see, move down to the daily here, and there's your wall, and then there's a box down below you. There's the floor. There's the ceiling. The ceiling, I guess, is with the other part of the ceiling. So you didn't quite bounce off of cost basis, but I can tell you that on the daily, I can see that that's where you closed above you. So you had a wall right there, and then basically right at that 50% mark. So Big C is basically going to need to pop back up above that. That's step one. Let's take a look at what that looks like on the lower time frame. So again, sellers are here. Cost basis would be right there, and buyers would be right here, and that would put us like that. And then you have another small area of consolidation, and that has its 50% mark right here. And then you got an imbalance, which is the gap. Oh god, what a shitty stock. All right, so coming off our earnings, right, and I expect volatility to be low. It seems like oh man, I hope that's not. Let's see. All right, so looks like Big C has some issues. All right, there we go. All right, so from what I can see here, and I'm not a huge fan of its trend, but that's my problem. That's not terrible. That's honestly not the worst thing ever. So as of right now, looking at this one, and again, higher time frame analysis, there is 100% still a possibility that you've just gone up to retest, and then you're just going to leg back down, and you've got blocks underneath you here and here, and a cost basis at 1037. So underneath that mark, you're going to get a new low. That new low would be in this area of consolidation right there, and that would be $10 even. So maybe a drop down to 10. Yeah, possibly. AMD. So this one is sitting on at around cost basis. Obviously, sellers control the price here, buyers control the price there, but if cost basis is broken, we're going to assume that we're going to be making a new low where we have pretty much a massive imbalance, and that's going to move you down to 102, and then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we talked about AMD with that channel there potentially trending down to $100.25. So I will be uploading the video tonight on SPY, so I've got all of it. All right, crowd. Oof, bad. All right, heavy area of volume. Obviously, on the weekly, this actually looks pretty interesting as you have held your range. Cost basis looks pretty good. Sellers are in control there. Buyers are in control here. So there is a block as well under you here. So that's going to be a clue as to where you don't want to go. And then you do have, like anything that's moving up, control to the upside. I'm going to give it the wick. All right. If it's not there, I'm not going to chart it, so I'm not going to force it. You know what? I would suspect that with that bounce that you're more than likely going to open up maybe below it, and you're probably going to see some shit like this. As of right now, I would assume maybe even more downside, but the longer you go down or the longer you stay sideways, the further you're more than likely going to go up. So it's not over yet. The daily does look, I mean, pretty awful. One, because you do, yeah, you definitely do. So you do actually make a new high. This is the only variable here, so that may be a sign that you will in fact go make a new high. So watch a rejection or a gap up. If you gap up to a cost basis, you're going to fall first. So you could be watching for a yeah, you really haven't even hit in support, so it might be that you gap up to 152 and then you just see a flush down into this 138.50. So all right, it has been an hour, folks. I gotta put my kids to bed, and I'll be posting more videos. Again, I posted the Tesla video. You can go check it out on Trend Spider or TradingView, excuse me. Posted a couple videos on that, but I will be live tomorrow morning. This week will be spotty, and I've deleted the expectations for when the workshop is going to come out and all the pricing and stuff like that. So it will be out as soon as I get it done. So I'm trying to like remove any exterior pressure for people to, you know, I want it out too, but again, I want to put, you only get to do this once, you know, so like that's important to me. I want to make sure that what I'm doing looks good. So and is ultimately helpful. So if it's not, then there's no thing. So above you, also on crowd, look at that 149. You can see where it's kind of rejected that mark. So can I do natural gas? What is the ticker on that? If it's futures or something like that, I can't. NGL, natural energy suppliers. So this one on the weekly and the daily, I think if you could just stay, so this is again another case of cost basis. So you went and made a new high, but you did not close or move outside of that necessarily. So we'll see on the lower time frame what that exactly means. Your cost basis is 397, and your floor is right here. To daily time frame. Same thing, as you can see, buyers are still trying to hold that up. And let's see. Okay, so look, you actually close the majority of those candles and in during the day at 413, and it looks like you held that up pretty well. There's got to be, yep, there is. There's a box in there. We'll go look and see what that looks like. Okay, so that floor. So I mean, obviously you've already kind of moved back down to the floor, but you can see that the buyers are stepping up off of that floor. So I'd be looking for a reclaim of this 432 in order to get me back up. But honestly, as long as you stay above that 394, you're liable to go and continue making a new high. Now let's also look at this. I like to go off support. Yeah, below that, there's a nice fat imbalance. 314 would be my mark. You can see there's a, obviously, like you got a small box there, and then a much larger area of consolidation here. So, yeah, I'd be looking for 317, 315. No, it's on TradingView. All right. Last ones, guys. CPRX, Catalyst Pharmaceuticals. Oh Lord. All right, so we'll do this way. I'm not a big fan of that. You ready, Coco? Jesus. All right. Be honest with you, man. This one looks like it's gonna just chop. No. All right. Well, no way. That's crazy. All right. Well, you got a cost basis rejection, so clearly hold 1465. If you don't, you might retrace back into this channel and see a full leg down. Yeah, so I would be looking for a break above this, and that naturally would give me a move into $17. So, what are you doing, Coco? I've done Tesla. That was the first thing I did, and I did that. That's going to be on YouTube here shortly. So, all right, what? Again, what are you trying to hold on to? Is what I'm more or less worried about. Okay, so you're trying to even avoid these wicks right here. Candle closes. I can see where sellers basically grab hold of that price. So you've made a slow descent back down there. You haven't really retested much. You know, there's still the floor below you. There's still the 136.64, but you haven't really. This is an area to hold on, and it looks like. Yeah, it looks like you rejected cost basis on Amazon, so just a hold of this floor. I'd be looking for a lower time frame catalyst, and it's not a great setup right there, but lower time frame catalyst, like you know, this is where I don't think it looks as bullish as people would expect it to be, but right here. All right, one. This one seems pretty simple, folks. And right now you're still sitting on your floor and your cost basis mark. And so I would say below if you open below Friday's close, more than likely you're going to make another leg down. But you did recover that floor, so a gap up to 138.84, and I'd be looking for a cost basis break above that 139.86. Hopefully that'll give you a move to the upside here. Let's see right here. Yeah, so you might see a pop here on Monday. So yeah. I will be on TikTok tomorrow morning at like 8:30 in the morning, but I will not be trading live on TikTok. So that's something that's done in the Discord. So you guys are more welcome to hit me up there. All right, guys. I will be posting the Tesla breakdown, this breakdown on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. This week, listen, don't come into this week thinking that you're just going to take the bag and everything is going to repeat after. And also, it's important to remember that there's a lot of people who are bearish, so every time they break things down, they might pop it back up. If you're not reflecting over what you did last week, or just looking at what you've done, over trading, buying the wrong contracts, and trying to actively problem solve to figure out what it is that you're doing. And again, the simple answer is wait for a daily and weekly setup. If you can't control yourself, then you have bigger problems. The Discord link is in the bio. You might have to copy and paste it, but we are going to be mindful this week of those things and where we open. Okay, so that's ultimately going to tell us where we're going to go. You guys have a great weekend, a great rest of your weekend. I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. Mondays are typically not days that I trade. I don't trade very often, so if you're new, Mondays are a lot of observation. I'll take a trade if I see it, but only if I see it. So, alrighty, you guys expect what on Amazon? Oh yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, you got a lot of stuff down too, so but just play the triggers. So look for a gap up. Would be a good start. All right, y'all. Peace.